Hey everybody, what's going on? Your host, LovelyCheesePizza here. Welcome back to another episode of Sports Sunday, where we talk about sports, life, and everything in between. And in the last episode, we started up, I believe, our first game against our new opponent. Yes, we did, and it wasn't even close. We trashed them pretty bad. And I think that we need to distribute some points here, if I remember right. Or maybe we don't. No, we've already done it. We already did it. That's right. That's right. So now we're going to jump right into a new one. I've got plenty of things to talk about in this episode today, but I'm going to try to spread them out as good as I can so that I do leave some talking material for the other video that I'll be doing for this weekend. So let's get down to one of the better things, actually. I just saw it like a couple days ago, and it was so funny to me for some reason. So, you know, like, they always seem to, like, they've been really hyping up things in terms of, like, things that people do in basketball games on, like, the sidelines, whether it be, like, the bench players doing, like, crazy things when their team scores with, you know, like, the players enacting out, like, crazy stuff, or, you know, some of the players who do all these weird, like, strange poses and everything, and so, like, that's always funny to watch, but you never necessarily see as much of that type of thing enacted into people in the stands doing like distractions for players shooting free throws. I saw quite possibly the best version of that. I think it was actually yesterday, now that I think about it. It was either yesterday or the day before, and oh my god, it was amazing. Like, generally when you see people doing free throw distractions, it always ends up being the same thing. You always either got, like, people with the inflatable stick things, and they wave them together and they make the loud noise that, you know, players don't even care about because they totally shut that out. Or sometimes you'll see the guy wearing, like, the homemade t-shirt. The Portland Trail Blazers is a great example of this, by the way. They have a guy that's at every home game, called the free throw guy. And he always sits directly behind, you know, the basket so the opponent can see him. And he always, when they're shooting free throws, he, like, jumps out into the aisle and he starts, like, waving his hands around and blah 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 blah. And it's got a pretty low success rate, but whenever it happens, he gets, like, super excited about it, and that's what that is. But there was a high school basketball game that took place that had just the best one. So you got these kids, and the guys go up to shoot a free throw, and you can see in the video there's all these kids, and they have everything just, you know, placed as such to where it looks like they're delivering a child. It looks so awesome. You got all these people around. They got the one person laying on their back with, like, their legs up, and they got, like, a big blanket over them so that you can't see what's going on under there, and everybody, like, people are putting, like, their hands on the shoulders and, like, acting like they're telling them to breathe and doing, like, all the you know, baby delivery stuff. And then as it keeps going, they actually pull a person out from under the blanket, and oh dude, it's so funny. It was so awesome. And the best part was the guy actually missed the free throw. That's the even better part of the whole thing, is that it actually worked. It still would have been tight if it didn't work, but it actually did work, which was even better. So that was just one of the coolest things. That's always one of the fun rituals of high school sports, especially. There was another one that, I don't even remember where it was, but there was a school that did something kind of sort of like that. Oh, damn it. Oh, no. Oh, no. What have I done? Oh, boy. We have gotten ourselves into quite the pickle here. We have only one out, too, so we really need to do something here. Hey! Perfect. Oh, why would you even take a lead? Like, why would you even start running if it's a foul ball? What a dummy. What a pee-drinking crap face. Oh, well. But, so, yeah, it was either like a high school or a college, but their ritual was, for all home games, they would stay completely silent, and they wouldn't start cheering until the home team had scored 10 points. And on the 10th point, then they would just erupt, and it's so cool. Like, it's such a creepy-ass atmosphere to have total silence, even like when there's fouls or when there's anything going on. They had the discipline that everyone in the arena stays totally quiet until that 10th point is scored. Besides, like, the away fans, obviously. But then, yeah, it was a place to just fall apart, and it's so cool to look at. I think that would be another really fun ritual for others, like colleges, to do, but nobody's done it. So, yeah, so that was an interesting one. But to jump back onto the topic of basketball, another really bizarre thing happened just, well, it was just yesterday, actually. And I still don't understand it, really. Like, I kind of understand it. Like, bits and pieces of me understands why it happened, but the Cleveland Cavaliers fired David Blatt, their head coach, and hired Tyronn Lue, their assistant head coach, to be the head coach, in a really bizarre move altogether, really. And there's a lot of people that just don't understand why it happened, because Cleveland is the #1 team in the East right now, and I think that this might actually be like a historic thing. Like, I've been reading around, and I don't think that anybody can supply any sort of evidence that this has ever happened, especially mid-season, that the team leading a conference fires their head coach mid-season. It's just like the weirdest thing. Like, I always thought that David Blatt wasn't the right coach to be there in the first place, but I figured if they were going to get rid of him, they would do it after the season's over, because they're kind of rolling right now, and it's never really a wise choice to totally disrupt the chi, you know? Even though they have had a couple of blowout losses, like, they had that really bad loss to Portland earlier this month, and then they got totally wrecked at home by the Warriors. So I could kind of see where, people really started seeing, the smoke there, and where there's smoke, there's fire. I feel like they kind of felt like their hand was being forced. They were forcing the play there, but it just, I don't know, it seems like the timing was just off. Like, and especially, like, you saw it in this first game where they brought in the new coach, and they played against the Bulls, and they looked awful. Like, I think they ended up losing by, like, I think it was like 15 or something, but they looked terrible in that game. Like, it wasn't even close. I think it was, like, somewhere in the third quarter, and they only had, like, 55 points. Like, they looked really bad. And, yeah, it was, oh boy, that was close. So, yeah, it was just a weird thing. But, again, I think it'll probably be a wise choice in the long run, because people seem to have a lot of respect for Tyronn Lue, despite the fact my fondest memory of him, and most people's fondest memory of him, was when he played, I think, for the Lakers. And in the playoffs, Allen Iverson definitely shot a basket. He shot a basket, and Lue tried to block it, and he missed the block, fell on the floor. And when Iverson made the jumper, he steps over Tyronn Lue and just looks him right square in the face. Like, that was one of those moments that, had the internet really been at its peak right now, where social media rules the world, the internet would have absolutely fallen apart for that. It would have been so awesome. But alas, it didn't happen that way, and it's still totally rad, but oh, God! You're so slow! Oh, man. I mean, we did get the one run out of it, but my God, that was just terrible. We may see a 9-inning game yet here. We're kind of breathing some rare air here that we only have one run through 4. I think it's only happened like 1 or 2 times so far. So, yeah, kind of a weird thing. I mean, they're definitely going to be fine in the long run. I'm not really worried about that with them. It's just a weird thing. Like, it kind of reminds me of when the Pistons fired Flip Saunders. Another really historically strange kind of situation where, they were playing for a championship, and I think the year that they fired him, they still won, like, I want to say they won, like, at least 40-something games, and they were in the playoffs again, but they lost in the playoffs, and they fired him. It's just weird. Kind of like when the Memphis Grizzlies did that recently to Alvin Gentry. They were in the playoffs, and they moved on to the second round, and they were looking pretty good, and then they lost in the playoffs to the Warriors. But they actually played the Warriors pretty good, and then they fired him right after that. Ironically enough, he went to the Warriors and was an assistant coach there. It's just, yeah, the coaching carousel is one of the weirdest monsters in all of the land. So, a very strange thing. Now, speaking of the Cavs, since we're on topic with this, let's talk about one of the more preposterous things that I have heard in recent memory, since we're still on the topic of basketball here, and this will probably be the final topic that I can think of directly. And kind of weird that we're talking all basketball stuff in a baseball game, but we haven't started a basketball game yet, so that's just how that's going to go. Oh, that wasn't a. Oh boy, I didn't realize that was the third strike. I wasn't looking at the pitch count or at the count there, but we get the run anyway, so it's all good. I read somewhere, and this is probably what I get for really taking Bleacher Report seriously, because Bleacher Report would basically be like the equivalent of me going and writing an article. Like, those guys, even though they are, you know, a pretty well-trusted, you know, news syndicate for sports, as, you know, they get advertised on ESPN and stuff all the time, so, I mean, you gotta at least give them a little bit of credit. Some of the things that they write are so wildly opinionated that it's just like, you guys need to learn the art of non-biased material. Like, it's one thing to be, like, the beat writer for a team and have some, you know, something emotionally invested in it, but otherwise, you need to chill. And so, the headline of this was, you know, Curry's the best player, which at this point he is right now, and, LeBron is now irrelevant. And I heard that, and I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's not even close. That is just like a not even realistic thing to say whatsoever. And like, there were people in the comment section that were totally in agreement. They're like, oh yeah, his reign of being anything important in this league is all over and blah blah blah. He's gonna need to hang it up soon because he's washed up. And I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh my god, that's not good. That guy had a 0 batting average. That was like one of his first at-bats, and he just goes and fucking clubber-langed that thing. Yikes. And he was the 8 batter, even. Oh, no. Well, there goes Marv's perfect game. He will have an ERA of 0 no longer. It'll actually be pretty bad here coming up in a couple minutes. But yeah, so I'm just sitting here reading, like, who the hell are these people? Like, how could you possibly say that you know sports and come up with a conclusion like that? Like, just to crunch the numbers on that specifically, since that, you know, trumps everything all the time. I mean, LeBron is still top 5 in scoring, or at least at the time this article came out, he's probably still there, but he was top 5 in scoring. He for small forwards, I mean, he's a small forward. He leads the league in assists for small forwards with like 6 a game, which is only like 1 assist less than Steph Curry. So I mean, he's still in like the top 15 for assists per game in a position that generally does not get those very much. Like, he's averaging like 6.5 assists a game for a small forward. That's bonkers. And he's still shooting, like, I think his like field goal wise, he's shooting really well. Like, not from 3. Like, his jump shot outside of the paint has definitely been struggling this year. Like, that's been the primary knock for him. What the hell? What? Did I really leave early? I didn't realize I left early. I thought that was well-timed. Well, shows what I know, I guess. But yeah, so like, that's been everybody's knock on him, is that his jump shot outside the paint has definitely struggled, which he definitely has. There's definitely no sugarcoating that one. But that also shows how incredibly efficient in the paint he actually is. That his field goal percentage in the paint is still good enough to balance out how rough it is outside of there, that he's still like in the top whatever in the league. For, you know, and field goal percentage is generally dominated by power forwards and centers because they're, you know, 3 feet from the hoop all the time. But he's only 1 percentage point behind Steph Curry in terms of total field goal percentage. So the notion that people are saying that he's washed up and that his career is on the downswing now is preposterous. Sure, he's definitely, I think that his reign of winning, you know, of being in the top 2 for the MVP every year, I think is slowly starting to head the other direction, because I think, you know, players like Steph Curry and guys, I mean, even like Harden, as much as I can't stand Harden, stat-wise, he puts up numbers, man. He really does. And even, like, you know, other players like Klay Thompson, Draymond Green is putting together a pretty interesting resume. As much as I can't stand him, he's definitely doing it. Even, like, you know, some of the newer guys like DeMarcus Cousins even. That guy ended up having, like, a 48-13 game today. I mean, there's going to be some newer guys that are going to eventually start taking, you know, those positions in this league. And so, sure, LeBron, I wouldn't say he's the best player in the world, but he's definitely still a top 5 player in the world, most certainly. So yeah, I hate when people are describing other players, like they go just so top shelf with all of the terms these days. Like whenever almost anything happens anymore, it's either the most amazing thing that ever happened, or it's the worst thing that ever happened. Or when a player, when a great player has a great game, oh my god, he's the best player in the world. Or if he has a bad game, oh my god, he's the worst player in the world. It's just like, there's like no sort of like middle ground with these things anymore. It's just always either the absolute best or the absolute worst all the time. And it's so bizarre that people could call it that way. But what do you do? I try to see things. Ooh, 666. Oh baby. Oh yeah. I was hoping for the big gun there. Ready for the big ride, baby. Didn't quite play out that way though. Let's bring in Cedric. I feel like we've been going with Peter a lot lately, so we're gonna go with Cedric. He's gonna take our bags to the room. You want me to leave the keys in the bag, or you want to hang on to it? I'll hang on to it. Oh boy. I can't think of a time specifically in this game where I've ever had some guy hit the ball to like down the line, and that I've been able to successfully throw a guy out at second base from the outfield. I don't think I've ever done it that way. I've had to do it kind of the cheap bastard way, where you fake the throw to home, and the guy will start running to second, and then you throw him out that way. But I'm trying not to have to do it that way, because that seems like a really shitty way to do it. Oh my god, dude, this guy's got some serious power. He really does. And that was his first hit, too. His first ever hit was a home run. That's like the best way to start it up, ever. Hey, oh, had I hit that down the left field line, that would have been a base hit. They're like so much more stringent for down the right field line for some reason. I don't know why that is. Maybe the umpire down the right field line has, the extra awesome LASIK surgery and doesn't have to rely on dirty contacts from all the dust flying up. Maybe he just can see it better. Because the guy on the left side of the field, he just doesn't even care. He's just like, oh yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at that hot chick with the rack in the stands over here eating the hot dog. Taking the occasional lick off of that ice cream cone. I was preoccupied. I wasn't paying attention. This has been a really strange game so far. I mean, I feel like, I felt like for the first 3 innings that we could potentially lose this thing, and then we kind of restored order, only to have them, kind of really fight back at us, and then we pulled away again. It's been kind of like a weird boxing match of sorts, where one guy controls it, the other guy, rallies to fight back, and then you just kind of throw him back in the corner and start slugging at him again. Come on, Buzz. That'll work. I'll definitely take that. I want him to start hitting home runs, He's got to start living up to the name. You got that Letterman jacket. You got to live up to the hype of that damn thing. Even though it's not like it's an all-star jacket or something. Anybody can have a Letterman jacket, I suppose. Oh, come on, Hama. Don't give me your crap. You know what? We're gonna pinch hit. Why not? I don't even care. Let's go with let's see. So we've had AC and Cliff. Let's go with Officer Balzac eating that donut on the phone, not doing his job on Christmas Eve. So here we go. That is not dropping. It is dropping. It's not dropping. Damn it, Balzac, you lazy piece of crap. Maybe you should start going to the pitching machine instead of eating donuts. All right, here we go. Oh, he caught me off guard there. I almost got picked off. Not because he did that, but I almost decided to slide back instead of, run the other way and have him throw it home. I totally almost ended up causing my own demise there. And now the inning is over. So, there we have it. Blip, blip. Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? I have another thing I can talk about really quick. In terms of basketball, nonetheless. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that Bill Walton is losing his mind. This is pretty common knowledge now. Like, Bill Walton has been collectively going a little bit more insane as the days go by for a while now. But I was watching the Arizona and California game today, and he was doing commentary with Dave Pasch, which I think that Dave Pasch is an absolute saint of a man that he has to put up with him. He always has to be the guy that's dealing with Bill Walton during broadcasts, and you can tell that he is struggling so hard to not just go off the handle at him, because he just says some of the most ridiculous, stupid things. And like half the time he won't even be talking about basketball. He'll just be like, hey, there's like 3 active volcanoes going on right now. Have you seen anything about those lately? We're going to bring in Marley here. But yeah, he's like, oh, we got 3 active volcanoes. Have you talked to this and this and this guy? And Dave's just like, what are you talking about? But there was one particular thing, and it was actually really funny. They were just like talking about all this stuff, and nothing was even making any sense. And as they're talking about nothing, like on the court, the California's got the ball, and they're like struggling to get an open shot. And Bill Walton's he's just spewing a bunch of nonsense at this point. And the shot clock's winding down, and this guy like ends up hoisting like a 35, or it was like probably like a 30-foot shot. We're talking like Steph Curry shot. And he just totally airballs this thing. Like, it wasn't even close to drawing iron. And right as he shoots it, like, Bill Walton is just like, he's on this totally different tangent, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, and he shoots the 3. It's like a Steph Curry 3 from that length. And Dave's like, yeah. But usually when Steph shoots it, it generally draws iron at least. It's like, at least when Steph Curry shoots that, he's got a pretty good chance of making it. This one wasn't close. It was just really like whatever they were doing, they just totally dropped what they were doing to totally make fun of this kid. And like, that's exactly to my point from what I said a couple videos ago, where I was saying Steph Curry, to no fault of his own, is totally ruining the league in a way, because he's just like, kids would totally do that. Like they're not trying to drive the basket a lot of the time anymore. They're just totally going to hoist the 3 and all this stuff. And that was like the perfect moment of it, where kid thinks that he's hot shit, and he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna bomb this thing because I've done it before in the gym. And oh boy, just totally a total dud, just a total 3-watt battery. And man, yeah, he drew nothing out of that. So funny. But even better that Bill Walton, totally on a different tangent that had nothing to do with anything, and all of a sudden he's just like, damn it. He's just like, oh, and he throws it up, and then he, they do the airball thing, and then he goes right back to nothing. And like, they were legitimately fighting at one point. Like, Bill Walton was talking about, like, guys needing to play as a team and not needing to worry about, not caring who scores the most points. It's all about the team winning, which is a great point to make. Like, that's why the Spurs are so damn good. Like, the guys generally aren't, let me get my touches and then you can get yours. Like, it's just, if the team wins, the team wins. Like, that's the important part for them. And so Pasch was trying to make a point. He's like, well, yeah, and like, sometimes you would think with this team in previous years that they would kind of almost be too focused on their own stats. And somehow in the midst of that, like, Walton got kind of upset, and then they started beefing about it, and then they kind of went away from it. And then later on, Bill Walton totally contradicted himself. And Pasch pointed out, and then they totally started, like, fighting just over there on the sideline. They were just kind of doing their own, and, like, they were just, like, almost, not, like, yelling at each other, but they were, like, just going back and forth, and he's like, didn't you just say something to me a few minutes ago about this and this and this? And he's just like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, these guys always seem to have at least, like, one moment of that per game where they're just going at each other's throats, and it's just like, how do they keep getting these games together? Like, one of these days, somebody's gonna end up choking a bitch, and it's gonna be way too funny. And we are the winners! We win 9-3 with a 20-10 hit advantage. That's what I'm talking about. And it was 23 minutes long. And Marv gets the win, even though he did give up that 3-run homer. Kind of a yeesh moment there. But it's okay. I wasn't expecting his ERA to be sterling silver for the whole thing. So whatever happens, happens. And his stamina doesn't need to be great. He looks. You know what? We'll do something with him. We'll give him a couple in speed. Yeah, why not? Okay, so we need to beef up some people here. Let's go with... Ooh, okay. Let's go with... See, everybody's going to be at least at 20 now, so let's find the people at 20. There we go. We'll give Jeff a little bit. We'll give him hitting and prestige. We'll go with Kevin. Oh, no. Yeah, we need to leave him alone. What? Oh, we're... Really? We didn't get that much money, huh? Oh, yeah, it's because we're playing these guys. You get, like, almost no monetary benefit from these fools. That's right, I totally forgot about that. Alright, well, I guess that took care of that really quick. That's the one bummer about playing this team, is that it's not going to be like the Lovely Ladies where we really get a lot, and that's why it's so important to play them first, because they really put you in a good position to develop a bunch before you start taking on the teams that don't give you as much of a gift for beating them. So, with that said, my friends, we have run out of time for this episode, but when we come back on the next installment of Sports Sunday, where we talk about sports life and everything in between, we are going to take on the SNK Crushers yet again, and we'll have more stuff to talk about. But until then, my friends, this is your host, Lovely Cheese Pizza, saying thank you guys for watching, and if you have any comments or any topics for me to talk about next time around, feel free to leave them in the comments section or hit me up on Twitter. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.